master plan. An MDMA, Salvia divinorum, 5-MeO-DMT, Nitrous Oxide and Cannabis trip report by 138. Posted at eerie.org, January 28, 2004. First of all, I must say that I'm a well-rounded psychonaut with many profound experiences in my bag. Having done all these substances on several different occasions singly, and done a few of them in combinations, I was ready for this catapulting combination of substances. Being the only day that I didn't have 1,000 things going on this spring break, my friend and I decided to have a blowout blast from the future while dragging along the past. It was a normal weekday with nothing to do except reach alternate dimensions. We'd gotten a friend to hook up my friend C and myself with 5 red smiley face MDMA pills that had these little white blotches on them. We'd initially planned on starting our experience at midnight so the timing would be easy, but we ended up running about 15 minutes behind schedule. Upon our nearing home, about 15 minutes away from our doorstep, C and I dropped one pill at 12:15, and this was where the night had begun. At 0 hours, C and I downed one MDMA pill each on the car ride home. 14 minutes in, C and I arrive at my house. 35 minutes and I'm starting to feel the rise of serotonin throughout my body, as is C. At 1 hour, C and I each down one more MDMA pill, just as our first pills are starting to kick in fully. An hour and 30 in, being the potheads that we are, we get the urge to smoke a bowl of high-grade cannabis, and then did just that. Didn't do much, however, but whatever, all is good. 2 hours and 25 minutes in. We're having deep introspection upon ourselves with great joy. We decide to split the last MDMA pill we had. We split the red smiley in half with a razor blade. Half of the pill, each down the hatch. Now, this is where the experience turns from two friends having fun rolling into a mesmerizing spiritual rebirth of cosmic proportions. The addition of short and fast-acting, powerful hallucinogens. 2 hours and 40 minutes in, we decide to add a more spiritual twist to the experience with the scientific mystery that is Salvia. Feeling good, we decide to go for a large dose. 3 bowls of Salvia each smoked out of a bong with no water in it. The usual irregular herbal taste was quite present, but had no effect on us until the start of my 3rd bowl full of the Salvia leaves. The strangely familiar sideways gravity of Salvia was applied to my body upon exhaling the 3rd bowl. Then nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. I got this strange pressure in my head that shot down my back, as if a spear had been jammed down my spine, and it then began twisting me around this centre as if I was in an office chair. I then started to hear this sound that sounded like the breeze on a really windy day. And with this natural wind sound came the birth of tricoloured ivy that started growing out of the walls. These red, green and blue ivy vines, worm-like, weren't like patterns projected onto the wall. They literally grew out of the wall in a horizontal manner, braiding like the tentacles in the movie Evolution. This experience was strangely different than Salvia alone. It even started to scare me as the Salvia grabbed my body, twisting it harder and harder. As soon as the fear took over, I reached an incredibly peaceful state and realized how we evolved, and that we are cellular-based creatures like plants. Once the peak was over, I looked at my friend and saw myself as a friend from a past. An alternate dimension, deja vu if you will. It snapped into and out of my head just as quick as I handed my friend a lighter, like the person who I became had done to me a year earlier. At 2 hours and 50 minutes, I'm now at a peaceful state with the effects of Salvia present. So, we decide to mix in some 5-MeO-DMT with it, which in my opinion is one of the best things to do while under the influence of MDMA. I took out my tinfoil spoon and a cone straw made of paper, and we each freebased 5 milligrams of the chemical. The loss of ego was taken a lot more lightly than it normally is, but we immediately became lost in reality. Observing it still, but having no idea what the hell was actually going on. There was this incredible tingling feeling alongside this. Felt like a 9-volt battery to the tongue, but throughout my whole body instead. And as this happened, just then, the visuals exploded. Geometric fractal patterns started projecting onto the wall like linear Cheshire cats from Alice in Wonderland that inverted themselves outward. They were like those water tubes that are like stretched out donuts. My hands started to sweat a little bit, so I drank some water. C then joked that all we needed now was a cartridge of nitrous to take things up a bit. And I, not thinking in the moment, said fuck it, let's do 2. 2 hours and 53 minutes in, and C said that he was too obliterated to do a nitrous at the moment. I took the words of Jim Morrison, I believe in a prolonged arrangement of the senses to achieve the unknown, into play. I noticed the Doors' The End happened to be playing as I inhaled the first balloon, but forgot what was playing by the time I was inhaling the second one. Sitting on the couch in my living room, I was able to see the whole apartment as I exhaled the nitrous. A few seconds later, and I became numb to the world, only feeling as if I was an entity barely knowing what was going on. The world morphed into another dimension containing a crazy-ass black and red waving checkerboard pattern of diamonds. This took my depth perception and melded it to that pattern. Then, I had the most profound experience of my life. Instead of hearing the normal ringing sounds that nitrous yields, I heard a demonic laugh. This was not of my voice, nor C's, and after this, I then yelled out the words in the same demonic voice.
You stupid kids, you have no idea what is going on.
This irked the hell out of me. I didn't tell myself to say this. It just came out automatically. I then felt as if I was an old man who was about to die. I turned to my right and looked at C as if I'd just seen a ghost. But it was I who felt like a ghost, as I yelled out, "Holy shit!" and stared at him in anticipation as the Doors' The End was coming to its peak. I could feel each heartbeat as if it was my last, while staring blankly into my friend's eyes as if looking at his soul. I felt the game world's existence in all of its actuality, feeling as if I'd just figured out the answer to the paradox that is life and death, the so-called master plan. The music subsided at the same time the nitrous had, returning me to the normal ecstasy feeling strapped with the most profound experience of my entire life. I remember thinking about what had just happened and hearing the words, well, who's getting the last laugh now? I basically just sat there in awe until 4:18, when I got the idea to smoke some weed. 4 hours and 5 minutes in, whilst puffing on a joint of low-grade cannabis and sipping on a beer, I came up with the philosophy that you can't define something inside of itself, so the only way to define life is to die. But since I don't want to do that just yet, I came up with the living philosophy that you haven't lived until you stare death right in the face. In complete and utter awe of what had happened in the past 4 hours, I drank one more beer and discussed the experiences with my good friend C, who was there with me the whole time. At 6:41 AM, 6 hours and 26 minutes after first ingesting the MDMA, I finish a final beer and smoke a bowl of pot. And boom, I was out like a light. This experience was the greatest thing that I have ever felt and observed. I've had many deeply spiritual experiences before with a wide range of substances, like my first shroom trip or my last Foxy trip, but this was by far the best. Definitely fun, definitely insightful, and I definitely learned a lot about myself and the world. I wouldn't have traded anything in the world for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I must say to you all, remember, if you're going to do anything like this, please, safety first.